everyone. Welcome to another episode of Workplace Wellness Series. On this episode, we are going to look at the workspace, what should happen in the course of returning to work. So we're going to look at the entry points of the workplace. And I have with me Mr. Andrew Mensah from IFMA Ghana to help me with the discussion. I have with us Mr. Andrew Mensah, who was our resource person on the previous episode. So, Andrew, we're looking at the measures and recommendations for the entry place and exit places of the workspace. What should happen whilst people get to work, and what should happen when they exit?
Thank you, Yussif. First of all, we need to note that because of the pandemic, the workplace is not the same as we used to know it.
Exactly.
So we are expecting employees returning to work to expect some changes. First of all, if you get to the entrance of the office environment,
Right.
You should be wearing a mask before you are allowed in. You should also expect them to take your temperature.
Okay.
And then once you are allowed in, depending on how the setup is, it's either you wash your hands at the
or
entrance before
sanitize,
you enter, or you will be allowed to enter, and once you enter, you immediately. The other point is that you should expect one-way traffic flow.
Okay.
Where workers will be designated to
Use a certain
direction into the main office itself, and another when they close.
Okay.
Usually some would have one-way traffic in, another way traffic out, just to ensure that you don't have people walking close
to each other,
side by side, and all that.
Okay. Another aspect that I have noticed with some organizations is that they have invested in some mobile apps where employees can, before arrival at the workplace, go on the app, answer some questionnaire about COVID before they arrive. So what that app does is to allocate them a time of arrival as well as a desk.
Yes.
So that once that happens, it manages crowding at the entry point.
Yes, that is very useful, because let's say you have a workplace with over 200 employees. Before COVID, you have all these 200 seated, I wouldn't say crowded, but close together. And now after COVID, or in the course of COVID, you will not expect the same seating arrangement.
Okay.
So what you have to do is you have to run either a shift system, or basically the app helps crowd control.
Okay.
Yes. And then space allocation, effective space allocation. Yes, and then space utilization as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So Andy, let's look at where you are in a vertical space. Maybe you are in a story building. What should be the recommendation for going up and down the space?
Because of practicing social distancing. Yeah. I would recommend that, in as much as possible, staff should desist from using
the elevators
and use the stairs more. And even with using the stairs, they should observe that,
social
space between persons.
Okay.
One going up, and then they should also have the same space on the side when people are coming in. That's if you have only one staircase for up and down. Now, in the case of the elevators, if it becomes really necessary, number one, the number of persons in the elevator, space should be reduced.
Maximum, depending on the size, 4.
Depending on the size, but the maximum should be 4. And even with the 4, I would suggest that they face, the corners.
So
that they
back to back. Okay.
And then they should also wear cloth mask, face mask to cover,
no face shield.
No face shield.
Okay.
And then as much as possible, they should avoid talking and touching, the
surfaces.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the organization should also sanitize the elevator buttons, controls more frequently. Yeah, because they would definitely have to touch to have the elevator open to gain access.
So where you are fortunate to have alternative staircases, you can demarcate one for upward, and then one
for coming down. That would be a perfect, scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now let's look at. We have looked at the entry points, how we enter. What would you recommend for exiting the workplace?
Once you've entered, the process by which you go through to enter, the same process, the reverse to get out, except that before you leave, you will still, for those organizations who have the app, you will still would have to fill the app and then show that you are leaving.
You are leaving and you are in perfect condition.
In very good condition. And then before you exit, make sure to sanitize or wash your hands with soap and running water to ensure that just in case you picked a germ at the workplace, you don't take it to your house.
Okay, let me just pick you on this one. Do you recommend the use of biometric login and logout, especially the fingerprint ones now?
I wouldn't recommend that at this point. I mean, because the germs settle on those surfaces, it would be, unless the organization has a system in place where after each person has touched the surface, they sanitize it. Yeah, they disinfect it. So if they
it's basically it's just, I mean, you cannot go about disinfecting after every. So that shouldn't be recommended.
That shouldn't. They should look for an alternative way of clocking in and checking attendance and stuff like that.
All right. Okay. Andy, your final take on the topic.
For this very topic, I would entreat all employees to cooperate with the various FMs at the workplaces. I understand and know that these measures that we are putting in place can be very tiring and cumbersome, but they should also have it at the back of their minds that it's because of their own interests,
safety,
to keep them safe.
Okay.
That is why we go through the trouble of implementing some of these procedures. If they have any ideas or better ways of going about this, they should speak to their respective FMs, and I'm sure they will listen and then make sure that
and a lot of companies are incurring so much cost to implement these changes, and so if you are failing to abide by them, then it will be a big blow to the organization. Okay, so thank you once again, Senior, for your time, and thanks once again, viewers. As always, remember to practice physical distancing, but also don't forget to keep socially connected.